They've heard from Nipiranga the placid shores the resounding cry of the rugged people, and the sun of liberty in effulgent rays now shined in the sky of our country. If the pledge of this equality we succeed to conquer with a strong arm. In your bosom of liberty, our courage defies death itself. A fatherland, idolaters, hail, hail! Brazilian intends to dream of vivid ray of love and hope to earth now descends. If in your beautiful sky, pleasant and limpid, the southern cross image is resplendent, a giant by your own nature, you're beautiful, strong, and intrepid colossus, and your future thus reflects this greatness, adored country. Among thousands is your Brazil, loved country, a gentle mother of this land, children, loved country, Brazil. Forever lying on a splendid birthplace with the sea sound and the deepest skylight, you're brilliant, oh Brazil, America's mirth, enlightened by the new world sun. Then the earth more showy, have more flowers than the other lands. Our woods have more life. Our life in your bosom has more love. A fatherland, idolaters, hail, hail! Brazil, a symbol of eternal love, maybe this storied La Baron you show so proudly. And may the yellow-green of your flag say peace in the future and glory in the past. But if you raise up the strong club of justice, you see that your children will fight with courage and not afraid from who wants you dead. Adored country, among thousands is you Brazil, a loved country, a gentle mother of this land, children, loved country, Brazil.
Olá, pessoal. Good morning, all. Welcome to our Teacher Education Summit. Sejam todos bem-vindos ao nosso Teacher Education Summit. Ele foi preparado para proporcionar a cada professor, a cada amante da língua inglesa, um momento para você estar aí aprendendo sobre o que nos espera o século XXI. We prepared a varied menu for you with a lot of activities to do this morning and in the afternoon. I am so excited to welcome all the participants from different parts of Brazil and from different parts of the world. Welcome you, and it's a pleasure to have you with the Teacher Education Summit. As we have here many different people in different culture and many different time zones, I'd like you to ask you for your patience and for your understanding. And sometime we're going to mix this with Portuguese. Vamos misturar algumas vezes com português, né? Mas sempre trazendo para você um pouquinho, né, do que está por vir, tá bom? Que é muito bom. Sejam todos bem-vindos e quero aqui chamar a Alexandra. I'd like to invite Alexandra, who's BEA leader, to welcome you as well.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Raimundo.
Good
So, on
morning.
behalf of Uzbek, I'd like to welcome each one of you. As Raimund said, we have people from different places in the world, and we are really happy and excited to start this day of learning. And Please enjoy it and be patient as well, because we have thought about things interesting for us, and it's gonna worth every single minute, I hope.
Well, thank you, Alexandra. And I'd like to present you before I call Professor Dr. Damian. I'm going to present the whole program for this morning and the afternoon. So I'd like you to uh, I'd like you to see the whole program and and what we prepared for you. Okay, it's a minute. So we have this education summit, and the topic for panels, keynote sessions, and workshops will be developing the 4 C's of the 21st century skills. So we are very aware that teachers today, they need to develop in their students the 4 C's: collaboration, creativity, communication, critical thinking, and there are many more skills to be developed. But these four are fundamental for each teacher to develop it with their students. And we are going to have panels, 2 panels, and the first panels will be with Zarish Khan from Pakistan. She'll be with us. Camila Hoffling, she's a PhD in linguistics, and the moderator will be Dr. Patricia de Oliveira. She's from WolfP, and this is part of the the menu we prepared for you. We have a panel in the afternoon. This panel will be, we have three two people. Diana Macedo will be with us talking about a beautiful project. Faisal will talking about technology, the importance of being a teacher in the 21st century. Luis Felipe is not going to be with us because he couldn't make up, but we are going to have this wonderful panel, and Professor Alexandre is going to be the moderator. But our summit started with one important keynote. The keynote, Dr. Maria do Socorro Reis is going to open with this brilliant lecture on Shakespeare's contribution to English language, the 4 C's in Shakespearean words. So we are going to have in a few minutes Dr. Socorro Reis is going to be with us, and I hope you are going to enjoy each of her words and the way she's going to give us this lecture, this topic. Afroza this morning is going to talk about exploring 4 C's in the curriculum and workplaces in the new normal. She's senior lecturer, and she's going to be with us, and she has a lot of experience to share with the teachers and the participants as well. And so we have many workshops, 80 workshops. We have pedagogical approach in online distant learning, digital literacy, roles and challenges with Flavio Martins. Um, we have from zero to hero, how to use gamification in my classroom with Vanessa Bond, and she's going to give us this wonderful workshop in the afternoon. All workshops will be in the afternoon. Todos os nossos workshops serão à tarde, a partir das 15 horas. Scratch training session for teachers with Ranildo Lopes. He's going to give us discussing the importance of using this app for the classroom. What else? Soft skills for becoming a global educator. Arish is going to give us this wonderful workshop, QR codes in the 21st century classroom. This workshop will be recorded and sent to you later. And creativity in the classroom with Chris Hall. A creative mind is a creative life. So, and fundamentals of language skills with Muhammad Safdabat. This is one of workshop that we are waiting for. So, folks, we have these different workshops, lectures, and panels only for you. Nós preparamos todo esse material, toda essa riqueza de palestra, de workshops, de mesa redonda somente para você estar conosco, né, apreciando e aprendendo muito mais. Gostaria agora de convidar, né, eu acredito que o professor Damião já está a posto, né, para estar dando as boas-vindas. Vou só pedir para o professor Damião dar sempre uma pausazinha para eu botar para inglês aqui para o pessoal de fora, tá bom, professor Damião?
Salve,
Seja
salve.
bem-vindo. Welcome.
Muito bom dia a todos, todas. Dizer da alegria de acolher, de recepcionar, de ser um anfitrião ao lado do grande professor Raimundo desse evento.
Welcome everybody, and I'm really pleased to host this meeting in the side of Professor Raimundo, and it's a pleasure to be with you all here.
Nós sabemos que a interculturalidade, as interrelações, elas são a base de todo e qualquer desenvolvimento educacional.
We know that interculturality are the basis for anything connected with education and for life.
Aqui de nossa parte, de nossa universidade, do nosso centro de formação, fundamental é abrir as portas sempre para a educação. Sempre.
And from our behalf, from the CEFAF, it's always a pleasure to open the gates for our education, always.
Sintam-se todos acolhidos, sintam-se em casa e façam o melhor que puderem. Como eu costumo dizer, no capricho. Fazer bem as coisas que fazemos, nas condições que temos, enquanto não criamos condições para fazer melhor aquilo que a gente faz bem. Salve, salve, sejam bem-vindos.
So, welcome everybody, and I hope you have a good conference. Então é isso, pessoal. Que legal, né, que a gente, né, está aqui. Obrigado, professor Damião, pelas suas palavras. Thank you for your words. And now we are going to receive the sequence of our presentation, and I would like to give some information on the sequence. For example, it's very important for you that are following the YouTube to sign the attendance. The attendance will be posted in the chat about 11 o'clock, so you have to sign, because the certificate will be issued by the form, the attendance. We are going to check who attended the conference, and you have to sign. So it's important for you to sign the attendance. Então, pessoal, é muito importante, você assinar a frequência que vai estar sendo colocada no chat do YouTube. Para essa manhã, à tarde, isso vai acontecer de maneira. Em cada workshop que você frequentar, vai ser passado a frequência. In the afternoon, the attendance will be in each workshop that you attended. You are going to attend two different workshops. And in these two workshops, you have to sign the attendance. Okay. So it's important for you about the attendance. Um, Another important thing is for you to ask questions for the speakers and for the panelists. It's important for you to write these questions in the chat, and the moderator and the assistant will give these questions to the speakers and panelists. Então, você também faz isso, né? Faz perguntas no chat do YouTube para os palestrantes e para aqueles que vão estar sendo os painelistas. E aí os assistentes passam para eles responderem. Então, é muito importante você estar atento, né, para isso, porque conta muito a sua participação. É para isso que esse evento foi feito, tá bom? Nós vamos dar aqui uma pausazinha de 5 minutinhos, e aí nós voltamos. Enquanto isso, nós continuamos aqui no chat, conversando com você. A gente vai resolver aqui um probleminha técnico, e aí nós voltamos, tá bom? Já já, em 5 minutinhos. Que legal, né, pessoal? Vamos dar continuidade. A gente teve aqui um probleminha técnico, mas já resolvido, tá certo? Então estamos retornando, ok? Well, folks, we had a little problem, right? Technical problem, but we are ready to continue right now, okay, with our first keynote speaker, Maria do Socorro Reis. She's going to give us this awesome presentation about the contribution of Shakespeare to the language. And I would like to invite Professor Alex, who is going to be the host. He's going to conduct this. Welcome, Professor Maria do Socorro. Welcome, Professor Alexandre. Alexandre, it's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. You too.
Good morning. The pleasure is mine. First, I'd like to congratulate you and the organization of this event. It's a pleasure because I know the importance of this event, and it's another pleasure because I'm going to host my former professor at university. I had the pleasure to study in two different subjects with Professor Socorro Reis. So it's an honor for us and for me to host her in our event.
Não
Good evening,
parece
everybody.
coisa Shakespeare.
Maria Socorro Reis Cosme is, she had studied master in letters from the Federal University of Santa Catarina. She studied doctoral credits at Notre Dame University in Indiana, USA, and obtaining a second master's degree from that university. She's a doctor in letters, in English and corresponding literature from the Federal University of Santa Catarina. She worked as a professor at the effective staff at the State University of Piauí and Federal University of Piauí. She has experience in the area of letters with an emphasis on English language literature and literary criticism. She is the creator and coordinator of the Shakespeare Festival at UFP from 2002 to 2017. And her area of interest is Greek, modern, and Shakespearean tragedies. So, for our pleasure, we're going to have Professor Socorro Reis. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Alexandre. Good morning, Raimundo. I'm very happy to be here. It was an honor, the invitation, and I'm here to give some contribution. You said I work at the university. I used to work because I'm now retired, but I keep up with everything. So continue studying, giving lectures, and helping people who would like to have some experience background in the English language, especially literature. Can I begin the lecture already?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
do you want me to share your slides or do you prefer to share the slides by yourself?
I prefer you to share because
Okay.
she's busy helping me
I
looking
know.
at the camera. As I told you, I'm old-fashioned. I'm not used to
That's fine.
online, but I'm gonna try.
That's fine.
You
That's
can
fine.
see in my background some pictures of Shakespeare, some stickers of Shakespeare, and the books are there because I have a Shakespeare corner in my house. Uh, I think in the other life I had an affair with Shakespeare. Just to break the ice. By the way, this expression "break the ice" is made by Shakespeare.
Wow.
Break the ice. Okay, so we're going to start talking about because I thought the theme is very interesting, the four C's. Even though I'm not a methodology teacher, I'm not very up to date with those skills, but I think they are very interesting. I'm going to try to insert some things of Shakespeare play following the themes, but of course I'm aware that it's a teacher student skill, that how teacher would be able to motivate the students and using these four C's. forgive me those specialists who are going to talk about the four C's later. uh, could you begin with the first one? Because
Yeah,
I
it's
first
just
I'd like just to say some brief things about the four C's,
yeah, it's just
because I know
noting.
it's going to be studied throughout this day in order to introduce Shakespeare.
Okay,
Please.
let me just prepare things here. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Can go on, please.
Sure. Okay.
Everybody is going to ask this question throughout this day. What are the four C's of the 21st century skills? I'm not so, unable to discuss this in depth as but just to be aware that I know in general terms what they really mean. So there is a picture here like a zigzag, quebra-cabeça, something
Yeah.
with the four C's, né? That they just work together. They have to be, I'm saying encaixar. They have to be put together. They cannot work individually. Like critical thinking is the practice of solving problem among other qualities. Like teacher should be able to make students see the truth, what is fake, what is not fake, and being able to discuss and have a critical approach. Creativity is the practice of thinking outside the box. We have to make our students be creative, to go beyond classroom, to come up with different ideas. Collaboration is the practice of working together to achieve a common goal. I don't know how to put the drawing lower because I cannot read well. Communication is the practice of formulating ideas quickly and clearly, and those together work very well. Could you? And then it's taken from a source that discuss these four C's. No? The four C's of the 21st century skills let students create a whole that's greater than the sum of its part. Like that chart, everything put together. That may sound overly generalized, and you may be right, but the skills themselves are so general that it's difficult to pin down what, why, and how students should learn the four C's. It's more accurate to say that students need the four C's for any and every reason. Critical thinking teaches students to question claims and seek truth, especially in this social media where nobody knows what's fake or false or true. Creativity teaches students to think in a way what's unique to them, right? They should be able to go beyond, to create something outside the box. Collaboration teaches students that groups can create something bigger and better than you can on your own. Communication teaches students how to efficiently convey ideas, to how to convey ideas that people would understand, right? Combining the four C's empowers students to become one person think tanks. Then, when those students get together, they can achieve almost anything. So that's the background or the general view of the four C's. And let's try to find these four C's in Shakespeare. Shakespeare contributes to the English language, the four C's in Shakespeare: words and works. I forgot to put words and his works. Okay, go on because of time. I know I have many things. Going back, everybody knows about Shakespeare, just some few words. He was born in 1564, died 1616, born and dying on the same day, April 23rd, St. George Day, the Day of England. Was an English poet, playwright, and actor. Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He's often called English national poet and nicknamed the Bard of Avon because he was born in Shakespeare on Stratford upon Avon. Avon is the name of the river, não é Avon, né? He wrote about 38 plays, 154 sonnets, two long narrative poems, and a few other verses, of which the authorship of some is uncertain. Till today, people are questioning, did he really write everything? His plays have been translated into every major living language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. Shakespeare is so up to date. Last Wednesday, I went to Festival Lusófono, and I saw a play, a guy talking about Hamlet, a guy from São Paulo making Hamlet cancelado, and he shows the whole play of Hamlet criticizing nowadays politics, Brazilian government in Hamlet. It was very interesting, very interesting. Some Shakespeare plays, we have the cover of some of his plays, Hamlet, Midsummer Night's Dream, As You Like It, The Taming of the Shrew, that we have the novela Crave a Rosa, Othello, Machado de Assis, who wrote Dom Casmurro, based on Othello, King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, the most famous play everybody knows, Anthony and Cleopatra, about a true story that happened, Much Ado About Nothing, Macbeth. So there are more plays. I just put some example. So again, the chart of the four C's trying to fit together, no? The four C's in Shakespearean words. We have critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. Of course, the order is that, but I ask permission to put collaboration at the end, and I'm going to say why later. Okay, continue, please. The philosophical and political thoughts in Shakespeare's plays ask us to have critical thinking about life, death, political, social life, art, war, peace, and so on. So teachers with those extra books that we call paradidáticos, né? Not with the original Shakespeare language, that is very complicated for students in high school, but they can use any play of Shakespeare to make question, to make them have a political thinking about what is written there and how can we apply in our daily lives, uh, in our living with other students in the world. Okay, continue, please. And then I chose three plays that are my favorite, the three tragedies, to show about this C's. Hamlet, Macbeth, and King Lear. Three tragedies. Né? Hamlet, To Be or Not to Be, no? Written by William Shakespeare around 1600, is a tragedy that explores themes of friendship, madness, and revenge. Much modern criticism focuses on the character of the young Hamlet and his inability to act decisively. So the whole tragedy is his inability to act, to take to action, to revenge. Continue. And then I took some sayings from the play. Just these sayings, they are enough to provoke discussion and critical thinking among students. Huh? The first one, in an age of feminism and where women are fighting against misogynist men, machist men, Hamlet say to his mother, frailty, thy name is woman, in Act 1, Scene 2. This is complete misogyny, and this can break a discussion incredible in the classroom. Uh, that's why women all the time think they are the weak sex, they are always inferior, they say amen all the time. And this is, I thought that he starts with this when he talks to his mother that she married his uncle immediately after her husband died. And then I took some, and especially where is the book? I took from the book of Ellen, the book of, não, livro, this one. Esse do Sartre. The book of written by a piauiense. He's dead now. Retalhos de Shakespeare. He took some saying and he translated. And in the first festival Shakespeare at UFP, he was still alive, and he launched. Foi lançado o livro there. So it's very interesting. Sátiro Nogueira, and he puts some special sayings from the plays. The other one is when Polonio says to Laertes when he travels, he said, Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor in proportion thoughts his acts. I can translate in Português. Reflete antes de falar e pondera antes de agir. This is interesting. Huh? This is a lesson to life. The students can really discuss this, and the teacher will be able to make them say their opinion, and criticize and create something else and write compositions about. He continues saying, this above all, to thine own self true and must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell, my blessing lesson. This is 3, Act 1, Scene 3. Sobretudo, ser verdadeiro contigo mesmo. E tão infalivelmente como a noite sucede o dia. Tu não enganarás a ninguém. A Deus possa a minha bênção sazonar em ti e os meus conselhos. So a father giving advice to the son to be true to himself, to be true to others, not be fake, and not fool anybody. This is interesting. It's a lesson to life. Okay, let's go on.
All right, just a suggestion, Dr. Hayes. I know you can speak in Portuguese or English as well as in both language, but we have some participants from other countries. Like now, for example, we have Tina from Bangladesh, and then
She's not
we would
understanding.
suggest, we would suggest you to.
Oh, I'm gonna try
talk
to
a little bit.
translate into
Yeah, I
a
know.
better
I know.
an
The book
English
is in
that could be
Portuguese.
comprehensive.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know the book is in Portuguese, so it would be something natural to
No,
speak
he
in
puts
Portuguese.
in Portuguese and in English. And
Okay.
sometimes I'm translating because sometimes the original language of Shakespeare is complicated.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
like the first one, fight thy name is a woman, she understood, right? Give
All
thy
right.
thoughts no tongue, nor anyone in proportion through his act. Means don't think evil, don't think something much that you can speak. Huh? And reflect before you speak. Is it better?
Oh, yeah. I
Trying
guess
to explain in an
you
English, in
yeah,
a day-to-day language. This
most
above
probably.
all, to find on
And
self true and must follow as the night the day, thou canst not be false to any man. Here summarizes, don't be false to anyone, be true to yourself. Okay,
all
let's
right,
go on.
okay. And by the
I'm gonna
way,
try.
we have about 30 participants from different countries.
Okay, let's go because I have many things. I'm worried
Thank you.
about
Thank you,
the
Professor.
time. This is very famous. We say in our Portuguese, the time invites you. We say in Portuguese, né? O tempo urge. It means go, hurry up, hurry up. You have to go on. Huh? This is the famous one. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark. When Hamlet talks about politics and of how Denmark's kingdom is corrupted. This is to all the countries. Sometimes we say about the world, some countries, and we say about Brazil, something's wrong in the state of Denmark. And this is something it's a saying, a quotation that could be discussed, that could be use critical thinking all the time. This is very important, the next one, when Hamlet is using philosophy. Oh, can you go back? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horacio, that are dreamed of your philosophy. Yeah, you cannot imagine how there are many things between heaven and earth that you cannot never think. Okay, when he talks about the spirit of his father, he said, "Rest, rest, perturbed spirits." And there's other one, Polonio, is that Shakespeare, Hamlet pretends he's crazy because he wants to see what his uncle is really intending to do. And then he hides himself behind books. And Polonio, what do you read, my lord? Words, words, words. Sometimes we say, no more than words, 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 words. They don't mean anything. They're just words, words. There's nothing either good or bad, but I think make it so. What means what there is in reality is your evil thought. If you think evil, you can pretend to be good, but you have to act in a good way, not think one thing and do another thing. We're going to see this in Macbeth too. because he and his wife pretend to be good hosts to the king, and they're going to be bad. Okay, let's go on. And this is famous one when Hamlet is questioned about the importance of men. I don't have to be translate because this is very clear. What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. Okay, he talks a lot about what is a man, and this could be discussed, could be uh, cut out this expression and making groups, and each one would just discuss and have their critical opinion about it. The other one, to know a man, I'm sorry, were to know himself. Sometimes I even need the translations to know a man. Uh, I mean, if to know someone, you is a reflection of your own self, huh? And you have to know yourself in order to know others. And when he dies, he says the famous saying, "The rest is silence." The rest is silence. Silence can say lots of things. It could be questioned in critical think with our students. What's the power of silence? What does silence mean? Okay, let's go on. Now the other play. Macbeth, you can see the kingdom, the throne, stained with blood. He acquired this kingdom through blood. Macbeth was most likely written in 1606 as a tragedy. Macbeth is a dramatization of the psychological repercussion of unbridled ambition. The play's main themes, loyalty, guilt, innocence, and fate, all deal with the central ideas of ambition and its consequence. Similarly, Shakespeare used imagery and symbolism to illustrate the concepts of innocence and guilt. We're going to see it's an example how a politician, how someone is able to go far to acquire what he wants. Alexandre, please
All right.
go. And we're taking some lines from the play. The first one, when the three witches appear, the first thing they say, fair is foul and foul is fair, which means appearance are misleading. What you think is good, in reality is bad, and something what is bad is good. And they're gonna be the ones who are going to fool Macbeth. They're gonna make Macbeth act thinking that he's doing good and he's doing evil. What can the devil speak true? Sometimes we say this, nah? The devil, the evil, something that is always with us, speak true or not? We should question this. There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. Means what? This means what? The mind thinks something that you can pretend. You can have artist, não? A arte não há como ler sobre linhas do rosto do pensamento. It means you can have a beautiful face, say, oh, I'm okay to you, but behind, in your mind, you are faking. Things without a remedy should be regarded. What's done is done. When he kills Duncan, he said, what's done is done. And later he's going to say, what's done cannot be undone. Let's go. When he's intending to kill the king is going to be at his house, and he's talking to his wife. He said, oh, full of scorpions is my mind, your wife. He's planning evil things. And the wife even say, I forgot to say here when she says, when the Duncan arrives, be a flower and a serpent under it. Means pretend you are, oh, my dear king, but we are really intending to kill him. And when he's feeling fear before committing the deed of killing the king, and she said, are you a man and a bold one that dare look on that which might appall the devil? She's questioning his machismo, his heteronormorty. Are you a man? We say here, are you a man or a cat? A man or a hat? Or a rat? And later, when he thinks he really a traitor, he says, what is a traitor? One that swears and lies. Let's go on. I think I'm going to take a long time. And this is, we can use to all the countries when the country lose the dignity, when the country lose democracy, and so on. Allah's poor country, almost afraid to know itself. It cannot be called our mother, but our grave, where nothing. Não dá para ver o restante. Where nothing, but who knows nothing, is one seen to smile, né? Pobre pátria, quase aterrorizada de reconhecer-se a si mesma, não mais pode ser chamada de nossa pátria mãe, mas nosso túmulo, onde a não seres conscientes ninguém ri. So we can laugh about the atrocities that our country is committing. Né? We can laugh because it's not our mother anymore, it's our enemy. Let's go on. When Lady Macbeth helps committing the crime, she becomes crazy. Her conscience is crazy and she feels blood all the time in her hands. She's always washing her hands. And she said, out, out, damn spout. Out, I say. She sees spot of blood all the time. And Hamlet says, here the smell of blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. He can see blood in his hand and he sees that nothing will disappear. And there is another saying that I didn't put here when Macbeth says, all the waters of the ocean would incarnadine with my hands. In this word, incarnadine, Shakespeare creates. I mean, the ocean will be red with the blood. And this could be question about discuss about assassination, about crimes, and so on. In the end, he said, what's done cannot be undone. Once you do something, you cannot undo. Okay, that's enough of Macbeth for a while. King Lear. King Lear is a very sad play about an old man, an old king who wants to leave everything to his daughters. And it's so up to date because we see people almost killing their fathers, grandfather, in order to have the pension of SUS, of INSS, and they do everything. So King Lear wanted to give his kingdom, his land, his possession to his daughters. If they speak, they love him a lot. It's one of William Shakespeare's most famous tragedy. It was believed to have been written between 1605 1606 and was based on a legend of the Lear of Britain, a pre-Roman Celtic king from mythology. The play's main themes are loyalty, madness, and power. Go on, please. This is Cordelia say because her father wants her to profess lots of love, and she said, unhappy that I am that I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less. Because she said, how we feel in our time, this is very good for discussion. How can we speak what we think? Sometimes we love a person, but we cannot express that we love. Sometimes it's impossible to, oh my God, it's impossible to profess this love. Love's not love when its mingled regard stands aloof from the entire point. Oh, meu Deus, you passo. When she said, love is not love when you have to prove. I feel love for you, don't have to prove. Go on. Não tinha tradução dessa, não. Fairest Cordelia. That's most rich being poor, most choice forsaken, most lost despised. Just talk about her and also the king of France, the one that's going to marry her because she became poor. She inherited nothing because she could not profess love for her father. So, time shall unfold what pride the cunning hides, who cover faults as less some derides. Okay, go on. talking about time, and Cordelia says, nothing can be made of nothing. I cannot say if I don't have what to say. Let's go on. I'm worried about time because I still have more things. Go on, Aisha. The Prince of Darkness is the gentleman. Again, Shakespeare here talks about the devil. The devil speaks the truth, the devil is a gentleman, and so on. And another one, or matter of impertinence mix reason and madness. In King Lear is always in opposites. Reason versus madness, blindness versus sight. When King Lear sees more when he's blind, he's more reasonable when he's mad, and so on. Another thing interesting, when we are born, we cry that we are come to this great stage of fools. Shakespeare always think about the world as a stage, and we cry. Our lives witness that we pain the death world, how we die rather than die at once. O encanto da vida nos faz sofrer. We suffer with life, hour after hour. The pain of death, it's better to die at once. He's always talking about these negative things. Okay, and then we finish some words that could spark critical thinking among students. Creativity. Of course, the teacher should be. Eu acho que minha imagem não tá boa. Alexandre, how is my. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
I'm.
pretty good. We can read it very well.
No, myself. How can I appear? I think I'm not appearing very well. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're centralized now. Yes, okay. And you're gorgeous.
Shakespeare created about 1,700 words that are still used in English today. Example, bedroom. Shakespeare put together bed in a room for sleeping furnished with a bed, and it appears Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 2, Scene 2 for the first time. Gossip, we like so much to talk gossip, was created by him to talk casually, usually about others. It appears in the Comedy of Errors. So a teacher and educator has to be creative all the time in classroom planning, in classroom acting, making students creative, and so on. We have, for example, this little book. Não sei como é que aparece aí. Can you see a book? No, no.
Not yet. Yeah, okay.
Um,
You can see
it's
now.
a book, Macbeth Killing. It's for high school students, and it's very funny and could be used with students. It's very full of activities, and I'm sure there are lots of books like that that a student can, teacher can use in classroom to make students creative and to make students use critical thinking and so on. Let's go back. Let's go on. Our David Christian in the Encyclopedia of the English Language, I just put here to say just the first paragraph. He says, all textbooks on the history of English agree that the two most important influences on the development of the language during the first decades of the Renaissance are the works of William Shakespeare and the King James Bible. They are important for the modernization of the English language. And of course, lots of expression like the want to be and not to be. Go on, please. The Shakespeare impact on the language was chiefly in the area of lexicon. His work, however, also provides countless instances of the way English was developed all the time. And illustrations from his poems and plays are unavoidable in any discussion of contemporary pronunciation, word formation, syntax, or language use. In return, the students of Renaissance language in general have contributed many insights into Shakespeare's own use of language. Okay, let's go on. Here, I don't think you can read very well some expression. What the dickens that we say? What have you? What devil? Que diabo? And it's Greek to me. It's Greek to me. When we don't understand something, we say it's Greek to me. In my mind's eye, I mean, I'm only thinking in my mind, and so on. You go on because there are some one expression. I don't think we have time to go on this. Just to show how he was so creative, creating words, and this can be discussed also in classroom discussion using the place or
Not sure if
not.
you're talking about it, but there's very
Huh?
famous one. Love is blind.
Love is blind. Yes, it's interesting. Love is blind. We use all the time. Love is blind. How it is blind. Let's go first. There are many words first recorded in Shakespeare which have survived into modern English. Some example: accommodation, assassination, barefaced, countless, courtship, dislocate, dwindle, eventful, fence-free, lackluster, laughable, premeditate, submerge. There are so many words first recorded in Shakespeare which have not been survived. About a third of all Latin neologisms fall into this category. Some example: abruption, apartment, cadente, supplicate, persist, ou palavras difíceis. Proctor, sequester, solid, torture, engender, unapplaused, vastidity. Let's go on, please. This hyphenation, he also made a lot. Like, for example, I'm not going to read this. Heretic, baby eyes, bear picked, break vow, canker sorrow, fair play, giant world, half blown, kinder action, overlooked, pale visit, pale mail. And a lot of hyphenations. Some example that I'm not to read all of the accommodation area. Some example of how Shakespeare created many words.
Because see,
Submerged,
most of them, or lots of them at least, are from Latin, right? Latin influence.
Latination. He puts all Latin in English vocabulary. And I think this was so funny. Things we say today which he wrote to Shakespeare. Like this one that is underlined. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Em português é meu coração tá na mão, né? My heart is in my hand. Break the ice. See, when I said break the ice. Laughing stock. He's the laughing stock of the family. Everybody makes bullying to him. For goodness sake. Green-eyed monster, when he speaks about jealousy in Othello, né? Talking, green-eyed monster is jealous. Fair, foul, play, play. Fair is foul and foul is foul, taken from the witches in Macbeth. Love is blind is here, Alexandre. Love is
Yeah.
blind. The world is my oyster. When he said, oh, eu fico dentro da... I'm inside my box.
Mhm.
Brave New World in the Tempest, the Brave New World, when uh, uh,
No.
they are talking about create a new nation, the primitivism of the island, and so on in the monster there. And also later, they're talking about Latin American, when creating America, the Brave New World. And
Mhm.
many, sorry, site, and many others. I just underlined some, but you can keep for you if you want.
It,
These are very
it's
interesting.
it's interesting because there are so many that we also use a correspondent in Portuguese. I
Uh-huh.
wonder if in
There are
other languages
lots,
it's the
lots of
same.
come away with me, this game is up, game is up, game is up,
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
on. Not slept one wink. It means não dormi, I didn't sleep anything. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't underline, but it's there. Not slept one wink. That's me. I don't sleep when I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm a really lazy, not waking very well. Okay, let's continue. And I put here as a masterpiece of Shakespeare creation is his soliloquy, to be or not to be, that is the question in Hamlet. Whether it's noble in the mind to suffer the slinging arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more, and by sleep say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shock that flesh in is heir to. It is a consummation devotedly to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Ah, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shaft of this mortal coil must give us pause. When he's questioning if he should act, to act or not to act, what should I do? In this quotation, this soliloquy, it's a subject for composition, for discussion, for critical thinking, for creativity, for communication, and later for collaboration that I'm going to put the later one. Okay, let's go, go on. I think my time is almost up. This is very famous, and I have this picture here. I don't know if you can see. Yes, the famous soliloquy in
Yeah, we can
Macbeth
see that.
when he's dying. When he's dying, when Shakespeare always says that life is a stage, and he says, life is but a walking shadow. I am only, we human being, we are only a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. I love this. I get all, I don't know how to say hey piada, but I get all
Those
emotional
people.
when I read this because this summarize life. If we don't know how to guide our life, ninguém mágica, how to guide our life, we would be like this. We'd be a fool on stage and being connected by people manipulating us until the end, signifying nothing. Okay, let's go on. Communication. I left with collaboration with the rest to teach us to communicate. Shakespeare, with his metaphorical discourse, communicate his ideas, thoughts, and meaning. Except he uses irony all the time. He wants to communicate one thing, but says another thing. Irony is used all the time. Let's go. Okay. Like the example in display, Much Ado About Nothing. Dramatic irony occurs throughout Much Ado About Nothing, enabling the audience to know facts of which the characters in the play are ignorant. It's very interesting. They talk aside the stage and they sing to the audience that the characters don't know. It used to play in the play to create suspense, comedy, and cause conflict between characters, thus making the play more entertaining while allowing the plot to intensify. The most notable use of dramatic during the play are Hero's infidelity, her death, and the dumping of Benedict and Beatrice. They make a fake news about Hero saying that she was unfaithful, and it's only fake news, and the audience knows that it's fake, but the characters don't know, and it's very interesting. And he does this all the time. Okay, let's go on. Collaboration. All right. In that definition, collaboration means to make a student get together with a project in an ideal, in an idea, on an idea, and so on. And I thought the best example of collaboration I had throughout many years was the Festival of Shakespeare. That's why I used here. Festival at Shakespeare was an event inspired by the festival that took place in Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. I saw this there, all this festival, when I was in England, when I was in Canada, in the United States, and I tried to bring here in my years of PhD, whose purpose was to celebrate the literary production of William Shakespeare. I used to make this festival in April when it was celebrating his birthday and death and involving all students from UFP, from WESP, and in commission, getting together. And the layout was made by students. The poster were made by students. The everything together by students. The first edition took place in 2001 at WESP. I don't know if you were there. The festivals, yes, I was with Yuri coordinating. The festival that took place in the years 2004 to 2016 were held by UFP. And then 16, I retired in 2017. So the last one was 2016. But I also make mini festival when my students ask me to go to high school and do one day of Shakespeare. I always do. I'm always available for that. I have many material. Let's go on because I'm almost done. The objective of the Festival Shakespeare was to promote an academic, literary, music, and theatrical meeting involving the university community and the general public. So here again, the picture of the community of students with collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. In a festival, Shakespeare would be the apotheosis, would be the culmination of all these four C's. I brought some example of festival that happened at UFP. Like the first one, I don't know if it can be enlarged. I don't know. Can be enlarged. The first one was Sebastian, Professor Sebastian, very young, Professor Alcione giving lectures. And the title of this one was Texto, Palco e Mídia. I had Socorro Batista talking about literary text, doutora Socorro Batista, doutora Érica Fontes talking about play, palco, stage, and o professor Wellington, Dr. Wellington, da University talking about media, using media in Shakespeare Festival. this we made always an exhibition of lots of things, books, posters, pictures, things from my 7 trips to Stratford, to London, and everything. Every time I travel, I spend a lot of money bringing souvenirs of Shakespeare, T-shirts, and so on. So I'm here until I die with them, and then I give to the University of the West or to this project of yours. And here are the students presenting free presentation. Here is a play. I don't know if it could be La Peça Teatral. This was made by a former student, Ricardo Oliveira, that was a teacher at Fundação Bradesco, and he made his students make a play, a very interesting play. They were looking Shakespeare. It means Shakespeare got crazy, where he put all the plays together. They were invited for the marriage of Ophelia and Hamlet, and came Lady Macbeth, King Lear. All the characters were together, made by students. And they went to present at the Festival of Shakespeare. The other one is a scene of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, let's go. I'm almost done. I think this was another festival, Shakespeare de Todas as Letras. Here where we inserted all the languages like Portuguese, English, Spanish, and French. The lectures, it's the festival, the title is in Portuguese, but because it was open to the community, but the mini course and the workshops were in the language that the student chose. We had mini course in English, in Spanish, in French, and Portuguese. It was all the community got together in collaboration. And we have happy hours, we have plays, we have, they should spend the whole day just involved with Festival Shakespeare. And this was prepared along 2 or 3 months, together with students, with meeting and preparing and having ideas and acknowledge their ideas and so on. Okay, I'm almost finishing. I know it's time.
We
Just
still have some questions. People, there are
oh,
some
but
people.
please,
No,
I need to pass the
okay,
rest.
no, okay, that's good. Take your time. But after that, we're gonna have some questions for you. Okay.
Ok, I'm available to question. This Linguagem e Pensamento in Shakespeare. I gave a lecture in King Lear where it's very important you think and you cannot speak. Okay, go on. Let's go be faster. Shakespeare, the one that talked texto, palco, media, where each one talked about literary text, stage, play, and media. Bora, Alexandre, let's go. As Mil Faces de Shakespeare, where we put this art, the design was they all were made by students, made by students. Each festival it was different one. Here as Língua de Shakespeare, Cultura, Arte e Ensino, where we put together students of Cultura dos Povos too, in American literature and British literature and Brazilian literature, and the mini course and the workshop would be in any area. The other one, please. A Man for All Time, the former one,
Oh, sorry.
please. A Man for All Time. We chose this theme. Was this sentence was said by Ben Jonson, that he said Shakespeare is not a man of one time; he's a man for all time. We cannot see the poster, but it's there. We have Professor Luizy, Professor Júnior, Raimundo, Professora Renata da UESP, Parnaíba, Professor Tiago in French, and it was englobing everybody. Gone. And the last one, Shakespeare, Literatura Fantástica, Shakespeare and Fantastic Literature, where we use Edgar Allan Poe and Shakespeare in the horror themes. And that was the last one. I think I'm finished. There are only the reference. How can Shakespeare help you become a good teacher and educator using the 4 Cs? It's a question that I gave to you. I give to you. And the reference, I think. I use a lot Harold Bloom, Onde Encontrar Sabedoria, that he says in Shakespeare, also in Shakespeare, in Emerson, and in Unlimited Poem, Harold Bloom, The Invention of the Human. Harold Bloom said that Shakespeare invented the human because during the Renaissance, he broke with the medieval thing that everything was God. Everything that happened was responsibility of man. David Crystal, that in encyclopedia that's very big, I didn't. And this one is a very interesting book that you can get, everybody. During pandemia, some Brazilian Shakespeare student from Universidade do Rio de Janeiro, they wrote this book.
The other side,
Uh,
Professor.
it's in the reference. O que
Okay.
você. Ué, ele não está aparecendo, não. O que você precisa saber sobre Shakespeare antes que o mundo acabe? Very interesting. Lots of articles were written by, I think, throughout the world, especially the actors Lima Duarte, Marcelo Serrado, and some scholars like Roberto Chia. So they wrote article how Shakespeare wrote during the past, and how could survive, and how can you survive if the world we in today using you have to use Shakespeare. And the one that I mentioned, Retalhos de Shakespeare, by the piauiense Sátiro Nogueira. I researched these books. And you can read Shakespeare everywhere, even in this long anthology, big anthology, or in this small one. Here you have all the plays in Shakespeare. Oh, ele não está aparecendo.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
These
Okay.
small ones. In this yellow one, all the plays of Shakespeare are here, reduced, but it's interesting. And that's all. Thank you very much. Here is how to say cordel, literatura de cordel, written by a piauiense, Romeu e Julieta, literatura de cordel, written by Maria Ilza Bezerra. It's made here. So we have lots of things that a teacher can use in order to use critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. Thank you very much, and I'm here for the questions. I'm sorry I took more time.
No, I wish we had 2 hours for you.
Thank you.
All right. Tina from Bangladesh had a question. Actually, she had 2 questions. 2 were pretty much connected. But I guess throughout your presentation, you had already answered them. She how you could link the 4 C's, I mean, Shakespeare work to the 4 C's teaching in classroom. I guess you showed very well how critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration could be integrated in the classroom, right?
All working together.
Okay. All right. If anybody has any other question, you could write on the
Ask
chat.
her if she's satisfied.
Yeah,
as I
Tina,
told,
would you like Professor Hayes to give more further explanation about your question? There's another one while Tina is preparing something. There's another question, Professor Hayes. How the Bible had influenced Shakespeare plays and poems?
in poems,
Yeah, in plays and poems.
the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible, the Bible, the modern Bible was written in the Renaissance and having a different approach of how God would treat man. Because in the Old Testament, the Bible was just condemning man, making man guilty. And then we have the Greek that say that the gods make men Greek. And then the Bible was important to make Shakespeare see man differently, see man as an individual capable of evil and good, and that destiny would not interfere. And but I don't think he was too much religious on that. We see reference to gods, to to religiosity, but he's not very much concentrated on that.
Okay. So this question was made by Eurivaldo. And now we have another question from Isa Monteiro. She asks, is it possible to teach about Shakespeare to kids? And how could she do that?
Oh, it's interesting. Yes, During Salip, I think I bought a book I gave to my granddaughter. It's in Brasilia. Shakespeare for Kids, where the stories were told in a very soft way. But my son says, I cannot read Macbeth to my daughter. It's too cruel. I read Romeo and Juliet. And then later I talk to her and say, oh, see how love, you cannot love very fast. See what does. And you can do, I think you can do. I'm not very experienced in kids teaching, but I think you can make them collaborate and teach, and each one could be a character. Now you're Juliet, now you're, and do in a very swift and soft way, I imagine. Any other question?
Yes, we have two more questions. One from Watef. How to adapt all these ideas to lower classes? I mean, to
Low
elementary school.
elementary school. I imagine you can adapt all these ideas. You can try to find books like this. Oh, Macbeth Killing Gift. We have oh, how to, it's very interesting. The things are like cartoons. The dialogue are full of pictures, activity. The students can do activities like not only activity or mental activity, but physical activity, moving around the classroom. Uh, uh, I wish I could switch place with Duncan. So switch place. A student would be the king, the other the switch place. So very moving and very dynamic. I think could be used. And here is all full of children's picture. Uh,
Right.
oh, symptoms of in display: sleepwalking, rub hands, carry candle. And so the student can dramatize doing this. It's all how to say pinicado, all how it's all como é que eu digo? It's all detailed, very well detailed for children, like editions like that. I
Yeah.
forgot to
Okay.
put the reference, but I can show later because I got this book yesterday.
Well, there's another question from Tina. How to connect the postmodern community learners with Shakespeare outside the classroom?
To connect the poet.
Yeah. How how to connect? How can we connect? How can people connect the postmodern community learners with
Postmodern
Shakespeare outside the classroom?
outside the classroom. Well, when I thought about Shakespeare, I'm thinking about classroom. Huh? But
Okay.
in discussing the themes and the words and everything that Shakespeare wrote, you can ask our students to reflect about life outside the classroom. How Shakespeare can give example of living and of committing what's good, what's bad, not being moralist, but being realist, making students able to live in this crazy world. I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, we have some comments. Eurivelto Brito is saying that Professor Socorro Reis was wonderful in her presentation about the Four Seasons Shakespeare. And Tina also said it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing your insights, Professor. And there's another question from Watef. How can we get those books, please? They seem to be very interesting.
Amazon. You can. This was got by Amazon. I'm going to put in the group in our group the
Great.
reference, please. And there are all the books like Hamlet, Juliet, Homer, Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, all the books. Okay, I'm
Okay.
going to put the reference in the group because now I don't want to take your time more.
All right. Well, I wouldn't be able to express my satisfaction in hosting you here in this morning. I'm sure everyone had a great time attending this session with you. So I'm sure that our event is greater now because of your presence, Professor Soko
Oh,
Hayes.
thank you very much.
I
I
myself I had the opportunity to be your student at university, attending classes from American literature and literary criticism. So these were two great experiences for me in my professional career, my academic life. So thank you very much once again.
I'm very honored. Thank you very much. And I ask you and all the group, the commission, everybody, how should we plan? How about planning for next year? A collaboration of the three C's in a festival Shakespeare could be online, could be throughout Brazil, only our state to make students participate and present their oral publication, their TCCs, and it would be interesting. It would be wonderful. That's my dream. I'm available to help. Thank you very
I was
much.
really amazed how you could connect the four C's to Shakespeare, where it just shows how contemporary his work is.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
I'm not sure if Raimundo wants to say a word.
Raimundo was
Uh,
also my student, and many students that are watching, I'm sure, were my students.
yeah, guess so. Yes.
Students. In a private, I
Okay.
was doing my post graduation, and for unfortunately I couldn't finish. But I had you as my teacher, and it was a pleasure to have you as my teacher. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your contribution, for coming and accepting the invitation. We are delighted to have you. Thank you, Professor Alex, for being the moderator, the host for Professor Maria dos Reis' presentation. Professor Vânia said one thing important. I think short sentence can also be a good idea to introduce Shakespeare. I think she's talking about
Very good, Vanya. Also my students, and I always help her with her classrooms every time I'm invited. Thank you very much. I'm very glad. Good luck on this day. This summit is very good project, very interesting, and I hope I can go on watching. Thank you very
thanks.
much, especially in the morning. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
See
you.
you.
It was a pleasure.
Well, então, pessoal, que legal. Que legal que nós continuamos aqui. Você não deixa aqui o lugar, tá bom? Acompanha a gente ainda no YouTube, tá bom? Keep on watching via YouTube, okay? Because we have two next great presentations. We have Afroza Tina bringing the Exploring the Four Seas. And after Tina, we are going to have our first panel uh, being the host, Professora Patricia. She's going to be the host and be with us with two invited speakers to this panel, right? So this morning we have, and we have also, we are going to also make we are going to think about and reflect about one of our friends that passed away, and we are going to make uh, make an honor to him. And also we finish with the morning sessions. This okay, folks. Well, let's invite for our studio, and she's already here, Afroza Tina, and
Hello,
welcome to
Hi.
Brazil. I'm so glad to have you. Last year, she presented one workshop with us with the Teacher Training Day, now Teacher Education Summit, and I said next year we are going to invite you to be with us as a keynote, and she is this person. I'm going to say a little bit about Tina, and I'm so glad Tina accepted the invitation. And we have many people,
That
folks.
was my pleasure, Raimundo.
Okay, thanks. Beside Bangladesh, we have people from Pakistan, Morocco, Cameroon, I think. We have some people from Tunisia, and so we have, in the most of all, we have our Brazilian teachers that accept to be to the Teacher Education Summit. Okay, so let's say a little bit about Athena, because it's a short bio, right? But Tina, she serves at Daffodil International University in Bangladesh as a senior lecturer in the Department of English. She is a certified advanced TESOL practitioner and an e-teacher alumna of the U.S. Department of State, Dhaka, Bangladesh. So she is an alumni, as we are in Brazil, in the state of Piauí. We are alumni. She has been nominated as one of the best performing faculty members of Daffodil International University for the year 2020. In 2016-17, she was awarded with a scholarship to teach at Bülent Ecevit University at Zonguldak, Turkey, under the Mevlana Exchange Faculty Program. She's a member of several national and international bodies, which includes both academic and voluntary institutions. She has presented in several national and international conferences, which include China, Egypt, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Nepal, and India. With the academic publication, presentation, different national and international conference, she has earned inspiration to continue with her research interests, which includes assessment, learner autonomy, ELT, social linguistics, mobile learning. So, welcome, Tina, to Brazil to the Teach Education Summit.
Thank you so much. That was so wonderful, actually. I don't know whether I deserved all these praise or not, but you asked me actually to share my bio. That is why I have shared. But actually, it's so wonderful, to be here amongst all of you. Because after long 8 hours of office today, well, I was, yes, long 8 hours of office today. I have just arrived home, and immediately after arriving home, I just opened up my laptop and joined this session and enjoyed Professor Maria's session so much. And yes, I am now boosted up because this is what I love to do. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm grateful to the organizations, to the authorities, to the bodies who considered me actually to be here in this session today. Well, let me share my slides, my screen. Well, yes, I think you can see my slide. Is it visible?
Yes, now it
Okay,
says. Um,
thank you so much.
you have to
Well,
put on full mode, because we
okay,
can. Yeah.
okay, that's wonderful. Well, the title of this summit is very interesting, Teacher Education Summit, and developing the 4 Cs of the 21st century skills. Now, obviously, this 4C is connected with 21st century skill, and that is why they have been associated. And the idea is wonderful because I believe after the pandemic, I am a new teacher now. So I can say that yes, I was a teacher, of course, before the pandemic, but now today, I am a more advanced teacher. I'm a more updated teacher. And why is that? What are the strategies behind saying this? Well, let us get into the discussion. As you know, that today my focus won't be on any specific literary text. Rather, my focus would be on the connection, how we can connect these 4 Cs in the classroom and also outside the classroom, regardless of the subject that we teach. Because as an English teacher, I believe that I need this connection the most in my classes. But I believe there are math teachers, there are physics teachers, there are chemistry teachers, biology teachers, zoology teachers who might also feel the same that what about our courses, our subjects? Well, the purpose is same. It's not about teaching English or teaching physics, mathematics, or chemistry. The purpose is same, and let us see what is the purpose. Well, whenever we think of 21st century skills, we are associating these four C's with these four C's. And yes, why is this important? Because we need them for collaboration, digital literacy, critical thinking, and to develop our problem solving skills. For what? To thrive students, to help students thrive in today's world. Now, why does this question arise? Was this world, I mean, the same before 2020? Did we have the same kind of environment feeling, the entire scenario before 2020? Well, that's a question. Of course, this is a new world, new normal world today after the pandemic, where the focus has shifted, where there are a lot of changes both inside and outside the classrooms. We as educators have changed. I personally can say that as a teacher, I have changed a lot. Now, why are the
Tina,
changes? Yes.
Tina, please, the slide is stopped in the first slide, first page. Can you put on
Uh,
the full page? So
I have actually,
um, it is not in the full. It is. We have
uh,
see short pages
uh,
beside. Oh, now it moved, but we can see small pages. You have to put in the that full.
okay.
mm,
So, do you see this slide 4C is associated or no?
Yeah. Now, but you have to move each one, clicking on the small one. Okay, in the beside.
Okay. Now,
So click on the in the icon like the it's beside the minus symbol.
uh, yes.
Uh,
Um,
no, below below. Okay, next where you can see 65%. 65%. You can see
yes.
yes
Yes,
here.
this one. Yes, I have actually clicked this earlier, but I don't know why it
Uh,
has shifted. So can you see this? I have clicked that.
okay.
Is it full screen now?
No, it is not.
Then there is a problem probably
Mhm.
with this one. I am
But
clicking this. I have clicked this already. So can I do this one? No.
no, no. Mhm.
Mm,
See, phone notes. It would be okay.
uh,
From the first slide. Try from the beginning, just to see from the beginning.
so is it okay now?
Mm,
Now? Is
no,
it okay?
no. Uh, can you share? Can you stop and start again sharing?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that will be
Start
okay.
sharing. Choose the area. You can see me and you, and start sharing. Okay. hmm
So now can you see this?
Yeah. Now, okay. Now it's okay. I can see the full. Okay.
And if I change the slide, can you see this?
Yes, these skills are timeless.
Yes, yes,
Now it's
yes.
moving.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much. So sorry
Okay.
for this
No, no, no.
cliche. It happens. We all know this. Well, thank you so much for guiding me. Well, now let us get back to the discussion. And the discussion ended at a certain point where I was focusing that why do we need actually all these skills today? Because they are timeless. The four C's that we will be talking about probably the entire day, they are timeless and highly valued, not only inside the classroom, but in all professions. Now, that is also a question. Why are we focusing on all professions? Because it's not about teaching English. It's not about preparing our students with, English skills. Rather, it's how actually we are helping them, guiding them to thrive in this new normal world. So that is the question for which we are focusing on this crucial issue today. And yes, of course, this is 21st century education is something that responds to economical, technological, societal shifts that are happening at an ever increasing pace. Now, we have all actually have been wondering, I guess we all have been focusing on this, changes, the economical, the technological, and the societal shifts. Even if we think of 2019 and today, 2022, there have been a lot of shifting and changes. And these changed actually in an alarming way, in an alarming speed. And it's an education today that sets children up to succeed in a world where more than half of the jobs they'll have over their careers don't even exist yet. Now, this is something interesting because today, I believe, even as a guardian, when I talk to my children, I have this idea in my mind that, well, I can never say that my child would be a very good biologist if he or she studies biology deeply. Now, the thing is, in this new normal world, there might not exist in specific position like biologist in future. Who knows? Now, then what? Now what if my child is interested in learning biology? So what kind of career would he or she get in future? So these are some crucial questions that we are facing, we are thinking these days. And that is why we have associated these four C's in our education, in our curriculum: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, communication. Professor Maria has wonderfully mentioned, tried to connect all these four C's in reading, a specific literary text. More specifically, she focused on Shakespeare's text. And yes, that is how she showed that even today, when we are teaching Shakespeare in the classroom, how can we connect the four C's, which is very important because it's not that our students will be, presenting or sharing ideas on Shakespeare's Hamlet, Macbeth. It's not like that they will be speaking only about Portia or Romeo Juliet every time. Rather, how they are connecting Shakespeare into this modern world. How? Now, these actually forces help to build executive functional skills, which includes planning, organizing, and strategizing. Now, well, obviously they help in self-regulation, they help to work through, memory and cognitive flexibility, which definitely help our students learn new ideas, get new ideas, to develop their, socio-economic capabilities. And if we individually focus on the four C's, we see that critical thinking teaches students to question claims and seek truth. So this is what critical thinking does these days, because our students need to question. And what to question? The claims, the evidence that we are putting in front of them in the classroom. They need to question those claims, and they need to find the truth, of course. And then creativity. What does this C do? This C, which is creativity, teaches students to think in a way that's unique to them. So each person is unique in his or her own way. So creativity should be unique as well. And then comes collaboration with the next C, which teaches students that groups can create something bigger and better than you can on your own. So yes, collaborating or encouraging group work. Now, group work, pair work, I mean sharing ideas with friends, with batchmates, both inside and outside the classroom through projects, through, different types of internships. What do they do? Actually, they try to, create something bigger in groups. And this is a reality. We need to think with others. We need to think like others. We need to think for others. So this C teaches us this collaboration. And then finally, communication. It teaches students how to efficiently convey ideas. So communication is the other and final C, which teaches students how to convey ideas effectively. So, effective and meaningful communication is important in this new era. Now, regarding all these four C's, well, different types of instructional methods are important. And why they are important? Well, simply you may ask this. Well, these instructional methods actually encourage or boost up the learning process, both inside and outside the classroom, because we need to have clear instructions, clear guidelines, uh, so that we can, continue with our projects, with our internships together for, better results. And this starts with information processing, and then behavioral, and then social interaction, and then personal. So there are different types of instructional methods, but these four could be associated with four C's these days. Now, if we have the instructional material methods, and if we get the four C's, if we are clear about the ideas, about the concepts, then how actually to integrate them in the teaching learning process. So we are teachers. That is our purpose. As teachers, as educators, as policymakers, it is the purpose. It's our purpose, and it's the one of the main objectives to integrate, all these updated skills in our teaching learning processes. Now, how we can do that? How we can integrate? We can let our students lead the learning. So this is the time where, as teachers, we need to give our students that floor to lead the learning. So they need to be the leaders in the classroom. And why is that important? Because environments where students feel that kind of, empowered, when they are empowered, when they feel that kind of empowerment, obviously the learning is effective, meaningful. And the next point is about creating an inquiry-based classroom. So inquiry-based classroom environment is very, very crucial because, like the way I have mentioned, that we are coming with so much information, so many things in the classroom every day. Now, what if the students don't ask any questions? Everything goes in vain. So yes, let us instigate the discussion, initiate the discussion with questions so that students may come up with some more questions and they can lead the discussion. And then encourage collaboration. We need to encourage this collaboration, collaborating through group work, pair work, collaborating through debate, discussion, everything. And then developing critical thinking skills. Well, this is very, very important because, as I have mentioned, each person, each learner is unique individual. So, they have their own unique powers to think, critically think. And as teachers, we need to, boost up that critical thinking power of our learners. And then obviously encouraging creativity of the learners. Now, finally, if we move on to the next stage, we would think of developing some specific strategies. Now, today morning, we had a symposium in our university on modernism and postmodernism. Now, I'd like to mention that from that symposium, today I got a very interesting idea from one of the renowned professors of our country, who was an ELT specialist. He mentioned that there is no specific strategy or method. We always will have to look for alternative to methods. I mean, we need to come up, we need to create, we need to think our own alternative ways to methods, because it varies from class to class, it varies from person to person, it varies from learner to learner. So this is most interesting, I believe, one of the most interesting thing which as teacher we need to think upon now. Now, we need to start with the classroom setup. Sometimes we may feel that the classroom is not, I mean, furnished or set up in such a specific way where we can, encourage our learners to sit in groups or participate in group discussion. So, why not thinking of a different kind of setup? And teaching many lessons before using devices. Now, these days, we can't say most of the time that our learners don't have any electronic or smart devices. Well, specifically in my country, Bangladesh, most of these students have smart mobiles, smart devices in their hands. So, yes, they use devices. We all use devices in the classroom, but before using those devices, why not having a mini discussion? Why not, encourage them with some mini or some pre-task before entering into the main task or activity or discussion? Then using the power of choice, and then remembering that sharing is caring, building in bricks from devices, and using software tools. Now, I would like to focus on the point building in bricks from devices because, as I have mentioned, that in the classrooms that I have taught so far, well, I have taught Turkish, Russian, Indonesian, Indian students so far. So from that little experience, I can say that relying on electronic devices is not the ultimate solution. If you think of, lower resource classroom, so well, sometimes giving them a brick or building some brick blocks from those devices would definitely encourage oral discussion, would definitely help them communicate or engage with each other orally, which is, I think, wonderful to continue the discussion. Now, there are different types of instructional materials. I believe most of us are teachers here today, so we are familiar with all these things. We have lecture sheets along with the worksheets on specific text or topics. And then we have specific readings, of course, for each of the lessons. We follow some textbooks, we use multimedia and different other resources. So, yes, there are a lot of things which, as teachers, we can do or which we can try to incorporate in the classroom. But ultimately, it doesn't mean that a 21st century classroom should have all the modern facilities, I mean, all the electronic equipments. Well, there are rural areas in my country as well where we don't have multimedia in the classroom, where the students don't have smartphones, smart mobiles in their hands. So yes, it's not that if we have electronic devices or internet in the classroom, then we would be able to create a more effective and meaningful environment in the classroom. It's not like that. But as teachers, we need to think according to the level, requirement, and needs of the learners. Now, these 21st century skills are important. And why? Of course, they provide us not only a framework, these skills actually not, they don't provide a specific framework every time. Rather, they ensure that students should thrive in this new world, whatever changes happen. Because before 2020, the world was not like this. Probably most of the teachers didn't think of going online before 2020. But what happened in 2020 and in 2021? Most of the teachers, students were online. We had to go online. We had to break our barriers. We had to be, technologically competent to reach there, to reach our students. Even, when we think of rural framework, the students, we're struggling to thrive in that specific time, during that specific time. So, yes, these days, we need to think of that, because whatever the situation is, our students need to exist in this new normal world through the learning, or through the experiences that they will be receiving, that they are receiving from their classes, from the teachers, from the educators. Now, what do we need at the workplaces? Now, the second discussion or presentation or talk focuses on workplaces. Now, let us shift from classroom to workplaces. What are needed over there these days? I believe if we are professionals, even if we are not educators or teachers, we understand that these days we need the four C's in workplaces. I repeat, in the workplaces, we need these four C's. We need creativity skills. We need communication skills. We need collaboration skills. We need critical thinking skills. So, the same thing, repetition of the same skills. And yes, the 12 21st century skills, if we think of them, the first 12 21st century skills, along with those four, are what? Information literacy. Information literacy. Now, these days, we can't say that, well, I am not aware of that. I don't know what happened regarding that specific subject, which should be my concern. Well, if I am an English teacher, if I am a TESOL trainer, of course, I should know that, well, these are the updates in TESOL, these are the updates in my specific area of research. So, yes, I know that this is how I need to assess my students these days. Probably at the end of each lesson, I assess my students through this and that. So if my research area, if my interest is on assessment, I should be updated on that. Now, media literacy. We can't ignore this as well. Media literacy. Who can say these days, well, I'm not aware of the things, or I'm not actually updated through my media profile or through, media. So, yes, media is something on which we are focusing, constantly focusing these days. And this literacy is also important along with the information. And then technology literacy. We have been learning so many, we have been learning so many new things. We have been, trying to get into so many new softwares. Probably most of us were not aware of so many softwares before 2020, but now what happened? We are familiar with different types of softwares. We know how to edit our videos. We know how to, do this or that. We know how to record our voice. We know how to record our face. With good resolution. We know how to update our desktop, laptop. So yes, we are technology literate these days, most of us, to a certain extent, of course. And then flexibility. Of course, flexibility is something which is also associated, which is important, in fact, when we think of the first 21st century skills. Now, yes, for the environment, what are the important things? Well, along with these 21st century skills, there are some specific things which come, which, through which we can associate ourselves. And these start with perseverance, self-direction. Self-direction is important. I know actually how to direct my own teaching, how to direct myself through my own research area. Planning, we are well planned now. Self-discipline, we are self-disciplined now. We can ask these to ourselves, and definitely we would come up with the answer yes in most of the cases. Adaptability, did we adapt? Are we trying to adapt? Yes, of course, we have been trying since the pandemic. And we have not yet stopped adapting. We are still adapting because we know that in future, uh, anything can happen. Anything can happen in future. We don't know what will happen in future. The future is uncertain in front of us. So yes, we need to develop these adaptability skills. Then oral and written, I mean communication skills, oral skills and written skills, of course, public speaking and presentation skills, which is more, I think, relevant these days because if I have to focus on my personal and professional development, well, I have a different story to share. Well, I have found that during the pandemic, most of the teachers, most of the professionals around the world had, sad stories to share. Well, I actually refer this to my classes. I like actually my students listen to me. With this specific idea that when the entire world, people of the world were focusing on, sad stories during the pandemic, I received several awards during the pandemic. Personally, as a teacher, I'm grateful to those who actually considered me for those awards. But I must say that I received several awards during the pandemic, and I was never ever worried regarding anything other than my health issue, of course. So I wasn't with too much tension during the pandemic. That's because I tried to develop myself both personally and professionally. I did a lot. I did a lot. I have been doing a lot till today because I could, imagine that nothing is certain, nothing is, constant. So everything might change in future. So that is why I started taking preparations. I did a lot of online courses. I did an advanced ESOL diploma, online diploma. I got two important scholarships for two specific programs which were huge, of course, during the pandemic. So that is how I tried to develop myself. And I actually had only success stories to share with all of you, with the entire world. So, yes, I believe that these are important to work in a 21st century and to collaborate with a 21st century environment. Listening, leadership skills, teamwork, collaboration, cooperation, yes, all these are associated skills, of course. So I would like to end with a note. One of my favorite quotes that I usually mention after each of my presentation. I believe that knowing what students know is important. I repeat, knowing what students know is important. So, as teachers, we shouldn't have that idea that our students don't know this topic. Well, this is unfamiliar to them or they are new to this topic. Well, they have internet, they can Google anytime, so they can get a lot of ideas about any topic, any content. But the thing is, as teacher, uh, what I can give to them will be unique. I should give them something unique both inside and outside the classroom. That's why I am an updated teacher. I should be an updated teacher. So that was all from my part. Thank you so much. These are my emails. The first one is a personal email, and the second one is my official email. So you can reach me through my email addresses. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Now, the question answer session.
But before I make these questions, I like the when you said that beside the uh, four C's, we need also to add. This is important because the four C are like the base, but we need some more to the 21st century learners and teachers of the 21st century. The we need information literacy, media literacy, flexibility, and also many more perseveration, self-direction, discipline, adaptation. And based on this, someone asked the following question, and I'm going to put for you the question. Just a minute, Alexander. Just a minute. She said, beside, just a minute. Opa, my Jesus. Okay, just a minute. Can we add resilience to the 21st century skill? If yes or no, why? Resilience. That's
Oh,
one of
yes.
the
Yes,
spread.
yes, of course. I have also seen the question. I'm looking at the questions along with you. Is that's a wonderful point. Yes, of course, resilience, because when we think of the 21st century skills, well, this is something very crucial. If we want to connect these four C's with our learners, both inside and outside the classrooms, there should be resilience, of course. And it's not that it's something very individual, or it is something that should be individually practiced. Rather, the thing is, everything should be connected with this resilience, because these days, whatever task we do, whatever task we assign our students, both inside and outside the classroom, well, resilience should be there. And yes, of course, when we think of, postmodern classrooms, I mean, when we think of a classroom where we have all the facilities, modern facilities, then of course we need to connect our students, our learners, that way. And it's not that students should have resilience, I mean, should come up with resilience or should connect the idea of resilience with the other forces. It's also that the teacher should have that kind of resilience in terms of, planning, organizing, assigning, and connecting or communicating with the learner. So yes, it should be integrated in the teaching learning, of course. Thank you so much for the point.
Yes, and we have another one. Our Tef, he asked, when Professor Tina spoke about mini lessons, I wanted to know if she meant brainstorming and classroom debates, or she meant something else.
Well, it actually depends what I'm teaching. For example, I am an English language teacher. Specifically, I teach applied linguistics courses. Now, whenever I go into my classes, well, most of the time I go to the classes with new topics, new ideas, new contents. So most of the time, my students, although they have, everything in the blended learning platform, in our university, we have blended learning platform. We use Moodle alongside the classrooms. So our students actually get the course at the beginning of the semester. So they know that in the next class, we will be discussing this topic. But as we all know, that students don't come with preparation most of the time. So they hear something new from me every day. But yes, of course, if I can associate the idea with a kind of pre-task activities. For example, if I am teaching syntax in a class, then why not I give them, a sentence with a lot of errors? Why not excluding maybe to be verb or action verb from a sentence? Or, why not disjoin the ideas in a specific sentence so that students can definitely see a sentence and find out the errors. At least they can say that, ma'am, well, this sentence is not a correct sentence at all. So why are you writing the sentence in the board? So that is how definitely we can, encourage our students to take part in the, pre-task activities or something like that. But yes, of course, debate is something very interesting. I love my students to debate. So there could be anything. It depends on the teacher, of course.
Okay, good one. We have another one. Can you, for example, are there specific activities? Are there any specific activities in the classroom in which we can integrate many of these skills together?
There are thousands of activities, believe me. Today, I also was having a session with the Human Resources Development Institute of our university. And while, having a short meeting with them, with the team over there, I was focusing on, different types of activities through which we can engage our students. And most importantly, we can connect our students with the 4Cs in the classroom. Yes, of course, there are thousands of activities. Once again, I would say that it depends on the teacher. As I'm an English language teacher, specifically, I can say that if we can, encourage our students to through some incentives, and if we can guide them at the beginning of the class, that I would assess each of the activities. I repeat, if as a teacher I can ensure I can properly guide my students at the beginning of the class, that I'm going to assess each of your activities each of your activities at the end of the lesson, then how would that be? Obviously, the students will be more engaged because they know that after each of the activities, ma'am is going to assess us. How? Well, that is a question. Well, I have a serious interest on assessment. This is one of my major research areas. That is why I focus on assessment every time. I usually try to assess my students after each of the lesson, but through convenient ways, of course, because assessment is huge. Now, why I'm connecting assessment? Because students or learners need to be assessed after each of the lesson to have, to get the maximum output. I should know as a teacher that my students are engaged. Students also should have that kind of feeling in the classroom that yes, this is how I should be engaged, and at the end of the lesson, our teacher would be able to assess us properly, or there should be something very standard. So there are thousands of alternative ways to assess our students. Probably I would be able to share with some very interesting tools with you in one of my future sessions. But for the time being, I can say that, well, you can think of using different types of alternative assessment tools in the classroom.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Well, but we have another one and to finish because we don't have time to continue. I'm so sorry. But Adelaide asks, Professor Tina, is it possible to talk a bit of your impression about English as a lingua franca? And as you are giving a presentation from Bangladesh to Brazilians.
Okay. Well, uh, the first impression that I had actually immediately after getting into this wonderful summit was that I actually was listening to a Brazilian teacher. So Professor Maria is a Brazilian teacher, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the first impression that I had about her is, well, uh, how sweet a person can speak actually, because in our country, speaking and writing in English has so much importance these days. We start learning English from class 1. You can't even imagine that although English is a foreign language in our country, but we start learning English from class 1. So it has such huge significance in our country. So whenever I entered into the summit today, I thought that, well, this is how we should speak. It's not that I have to speak in a specific accent, or it's not that I have to be very, very standard while speaking every time. But the thing is, I need to consider the setting. I need to consider the formal, informal setting, of course, and I should be clear. I should be precise in terms of clarifying my points, and I should have that listening capability to get all the ideas, to comprehend all the ideas clearly. So that should be the purpose. And I am actually amazed listening to all of you, because it's so easy to get into your points. It's so wonderful to listen to all of you, to comprehend your ideas. And I believe that you also could get my ideas, my points. I was able probably to connect with all of you. So I believe that, well, this is something important. I don't want to focus on, specific type of dialects or a lot of other things which we usually do when we think of phonetics, phonology, and lots of other things which are associated with lots of linguistics dimensions. But yes, of course, this is important. But while communicating with speakers, not only Brazilian speakers, but also with any speakers in the world or around the world. Yes, of course, this is something which is in our mind. Of course, every time it's in our mind. But I am fortunate that I was able to present in more than 22 countries, and I have presented probably more than 70 papers in national and international platforms. So yes, I believe that connection is important, and comprehension is important, and that's it, nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Froza, Tina. Thank you for. There's a lot of comments. Congratulations uh, for your presentation. Inspiration for us. What else? Thanks, Tina. And we have many thanks awards for you for your presentation. And we are glad that you join us this the second year, and we want to have you in another editions. Okay, you are invited to be with us next year. Okay,
Yes, of
thank you so
course.
much. We learned a lot this morning. Listen to your experience as a teacher, as a lecturer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, so folks, thank you so much for your patience. We are about to finish, right? And but we have this. Let just to check the our program for this morning. It's important for us to check, right? The just a minute. I'm going to show you what is coming, right? So we have here the program for this end of morning and the beginning of afternoon, right? So we have the panel right now. We have the first panel, and this panel we are going to have Professor Patricia will be the moderator. She's going to be with us, and Camila and Hoffling and Zarish Cam will be our invited speakers to share with us their experience, right? So it's good to know that the this panel is happening uh, right now. So, Professora Patrícia, welcome, welcome,
Hi, morning. How are you?
Dora Camila, welcome. Good to meet you.
Good
And
morning.
Zarishi, when is Zarishi? I think she's not here, but let's just a minute to see what happened. But anyway, I pass to you, Professora Patrícia. We are checking Zarish about Zarish.
Okay.
Um minutinho, tá bom, pessoal? Já já a gente só checar aqui a Zarish. Professora Patrícia,
Oi.
pronto, ela já está na sala aqui.
Uhum.
Pronto,
Ok.
passando então para você.
आपका कैमरा तो इतना घूम रहा है मेरा
Hi,
All right.
Zari.
Morning, Darish.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Camila. Good morning again. So, hello everyone. I'm going to start presenting our two panelists for this presentation, and I'm just taking a look here. Okay, so I'm going to start with Zarish Kaham. Is the pronunciation right?
Ye-
Probably not.
No, it's
Yes?
right. Yeah.
Okay, so she is an ESL and IELTS instructor with extensive experience. She received a scholarship from the University of Minnesota, US, from transitioning to language teaching online. And she has also attended the TESOL Convention 2021 and the TESOL Elevate Conference. She spoke about the benefits of online webinars and trainings during an interview for a British Council UK research program. She was the Open Program English Language Expo Conference ambassador. She also received the IELTS training from Global Language Training UK. So, very nice to meet you. Welcome to the presentation. And I'm curious about the TESOL Elevate conference. I have attended TESOL conferences in the past, but I've never heard TESOL Elevate conference. I don't know what is it.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my today's talk. I'm really happy to be here, and I would love to talk about the 21st century skills which are really important in this era. And as you asked me about the TESOL Elevate conference, this was about the new language instructors who were new in teaching and who had no idea about how they can make their teaching really effective for the students. And they learned about new teaching methodologies, they learned about new technologies which were really helpful for the teachers.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to present Professor Camila now. She holds a master degree and a doctorate in linguistics and Portuguese language um, from Unesp, where she developed her research in the area of foreign language teaching and learning in the area of lexical studies, more specifically bilingual lexicography. She is currently a professor at the Department of Letters at the Federal University of São Carlos, UFSCar. Since 2008, she has been working in teaching research and university extension, teaching English, language reading in English, language, applied linguistics, and teaching methodologies. Um, from February 2013 to November 2016, she served as General Secretary for International Relations at UFSCar, where I could follow her, and she had like a brilliant career in that area, actually. Not in the area, but in the role that she was attributed to her. She was also the coordinator of the course at UFSCar, and her research areas are related to teaching English for specific purpose and academic purposes, foreign language as a medium of instruction in higher education contexts. And more recently, Camila spent a period of 3 months in the United States for a postdoctorate research where I'm not sure if she's going to talk about, but this is it. Okay. So both of you, you're going to have around 20 minutes of presentation. So I'm going to start with Camila. Would you like to say, I don't know, good morning and some words to the audience, and then Zarish can start.
Okay, good morning to everyone. I'm really pleased to be here and in this panel with Professor Zarish and my dear friend Patricia. So, yeah, good to be here.
Okay. So, Zarish, you can start with you, okay? I'm going to turn off my camera, but I'm going to be here because then I'll have to ask the questions for you, all right? So I
Yeah.
wish you an excellent presentation.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to talk about developing the forces of the 21st century skills. As you know that, the world is changing because of the digital era, and now things are moving in a different way. Because the world is changing all the time, the style and atmosphere of education has also been transformed by the 21st century skills. Now, in a modern classroom, teachers don't only impart the content, however, they are developing the 21st century skills in the students. Their overall goal is to create the future ready learners, students who apply their knowledge, who are ready to apply their knowledge in any new situation. But the question is that what are the 21st century skills and how can we use them? First, we'll be having a look over the 21st century skills. Uh, the four C's of the 21st century skills refer to communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Okay, so we'll be starting with the first C, communication. What is communication? Mutual interaction between two or more individuals is termed as communication. Communication, existence of life becomes impossible without communication. It is very much important for the educators to teach our students the appropriate form of communication. Our students need to clearly communicate their ideas with others. Imagine there is a group project and we expect all the learners to work together. But how can they collaborate if they are unable to communicate with each other? Communication is the key to succeed in all aspects of life. Therefore, we need to teach our students. We need to teach our students how to communicate, how to communicate with others, how to express their ideas with others, how can they be effective communicators. Apart from that, as this era is digital, only teaching them communication is not enough. We do need to teach students about how students can use digital language. We need to teach them that how to use digital language to communicate back and forth respectfully, clearly, and correctly with others, whether it's the platform of email, whether it's on social media, whether it's on any chat platform. Good communication skills ensure that the message is sent and received by uh, good communication skills ensure that the message is sent and received with no chance of misunderstanding. When your students know how to communicate clearly, how to articulate their ideas effectively, they are not going to make any mistake. So it is our responsibility to teach them this important skill. Okay, now we have a question. As I have already discussed that part, we have to teach them to be effective communicator. But what makes communication effective? When students communicate clearly, when they are able to articulate their ideas in an effective manner, when they communicate for a range of purposes, like when they are communicating to inform and the person has understood the message, when they are instructing, when they are communicating to instruct and the students have got what they are trying to say. So you have to be really careful. You have to advance yourself with the latest pedagogies, and this C is really important in today's world. Now I would like to come on the second C. I would like to come on the second C, which is collaboration. When we talk about collaboration, what is collaboration? Collaboration occurs when two or more people work together to accomplish a shared common goal. We need to teach our students to collaborate, as collaboration has become a trend of 21st century. And we collaboration is very important, because when students learn to collaborate, they also learn how they can work in teams. We need to teach our students to be effective collaborators. Being an effective collaborator means not only when you are an effective collaborator, you don't only know how to work in groups, but you also know how to learn from others, how to share your thoughts with others, how to accept others' ideas in how to accept others' ideas, and how to give respect to others. If your idea has not been accepted, and your classmate has presented any other idea, you have to appreciate that. You need to have acceptance. You have to really work on collaboration. As we are preparing our students for the future working environment, where they will be needing to work effectively in teams, therefore it is very much important for us to involve our students in groups. If we allow our students to work in groups, and if we give them projects which they have to do in groups, that will be preparing the students for their future working environments. Okay, coming to the third C, that is critical thinking. So, what is critical thinking? When we talk about critical thinking is also a very essential skill which our students need to learn. Critical thinking means investigating issues that are not always clearly defined and have no clear cut answers, by asking significant questions and exploring different solutions, evaluating ideas and adding value to them by identifying the most reasonable ones, most key. Just a second. Okay, ones are most likely to succeed. Okay, what are the benefits of teaching critical thinking in a classroom? When you teach critical thinking in a classroom, you are teaching students other important skills, which are higher level of concentration, which is you are also teaching them. When you teach them critical thinking, you teach them analytical abilities, you teach them improved thought processing. Critical thinking means how to question, how to analyze, and how to process. So critical thinking is a very essential skill which we do need to teach our students. We need to teach our students whatever information they get, whether it's from the book, whether it's from social media, it's from their friends. Our students need to be able to question about it. Our students must ask, where does this information come from? What is the agenda behind this information? Critical thinking is also very important to for the problem solving skill. So if we want our students to be problem solvers, we need to teach them to learn critical thinking. Okay, coming to the last C, which is creativity. So, what is creativity? Producing something which did not exist before, such as a product, a process, a theory, artwork, or solution. Developing new, unique, diverse, and useful ideas. Thinking about and looking at things from a different perspective. Creativity is a practice of thinking out of the box. We need to teach our students to be creative. When people are creative, they have the ability to think about the things in a different way. They don't look at the things from the same manner. They have multiple perspective to look at the same thing from different angles. Therefore, we have to develop this skill in our students by engaging them in such activities which will allow them to use their creativity. Creativity is really important while you are teaching, and your teaching method has no creativity, your students are not going to enjoy. So it goes with everything. You have to make sure that, like, if you are involving your students in a thing that allows them to use creativity, they will come up with different ideas, they will come up with creative thoughts, and this creativity will help them to succeed in their future as well. So we have to make sure that we have to keep on working on these skills. We have to also try to give them situations which will uh, we have to give them situations which will allow them to use all the four C's. When we talk about creativity, if a person is creative and if a person is creative, he can he can have a lot of approaches to solve a problem. He can do things really differently. But if we don't teach our students to be creative, even after 10 years they will be standing at a same position. So we have to teach them creativity from day one. In order If we want our students to succeed, we have to teach them. Of course, we have to teach them all the four C's, as every skill is equally important. When we talk about creativity, if we encourage creativity in our students, basically we teach them that it is safe to take risk. It is safe to form risk. So if we it is their ideas and thoughts which matter. We have to motivate them. We have to push them to do imagination. We have to push them to do things in a creative way. If they do things in a creative way, they are really happy, and they can when they do things in a different way, they are actually learning a lot of things. So we have to make sure that we have to develop all these skills in our students. If we find anything challenging, we have to even find a way to solve that in a creative way. And when if students become creative, they don't find anything hard, whenever you do them an assignment or a task, they do, when they are given the opportunities to show their talent, to show their skill, they are able to do that. So we it's up to us, being the educators, it is our responsibility to give students the possibilities to show creativity. We have to develop the four C's in them, because this is the need of this era. I would like to conclude here with teach with passion and explore with creativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very clear the things you brought and the idea. I guess they was both useful either for students who are preparing to become teachers and also for educators who prepare teachers to teach foreign languages in such diverse contexts as we have here in Brazil. So thank you very much, very much. It was a pleasure having the opportunity to listen to you. I have some questions here. There is one. I don't know. Well, I'm going to Raimundo. Can I ask her? Okay, I'm going to ask her the questions, and then I'm going to give the time for Camila to present it, and then at the end, because it's fresh, and so she can talk
Yes,
about.
yes.
Okay. So there is a question here. How can teachers ensure that nonverbal communication is effective?
Okay, see, when students are communicating, whether they are communicating verbally or non-verbally, we have to give them a chance. We have to watch their performances. We have to see how they are communicating. We have to see whether their form of communication is appropriate or not. Whether students communicate verbally or not, or they talk in a non-verbal way. We have to see their form of communication has to be appropriate. If their way of communication is appropriate, this way we can be this way we can work on the effectiveness as well.
Mhm. Okay. And there is another question here. What type of activities that enhance creativity for learners of the English language?
Okay.
Quizzes, MCQ, role plays.
Okay, like now, because I told you that the world has changed, and the style and the atmosphere of education has also been transformed by the use of technology in education. Now there are many websites are available. Now there are many sites, and there are many game based learning platforms on which you can play grammar games online. You can divide the students in groups, and the question would be appear on the screen, and they can work together. And as the games are really fun, they teach, it's like the games which I'm talking about, they are online games, and they are really fun. You can put your students into small groups, and they have to solve the problems together. So this way you, and apart from that, you can also give them some projects. Maybe it can be an art project, it can be it can be an ESL project. They have to, maybe they have to do some role plays as well. They have to be like, they have to be a doctor, one has to be a patient, and they have to create dialogues. They are treating each other, like, they are, the doctor is treating the patient, and they have to do the role plays in front of the class, in front, they have to come to the stage. So this way we can help them do creativity.
Mhm. Okay. And there is something here. When you mention, for example, giving them a chance, does it mean to let them communicate on their own pace?
Yes, of course. When I'm giving them the opportunity to communicate, they have to communicate on their pace, but we have to monitor their performance. We have to be with them. Like, let's say I have given them a project, they are doing it together. I am monitoring their performance, but whatever the mistakes they are making, I have to jot it down. And after that project is done, I have to tell them, maybe I can guide them. I have to tell them these were the mistakes that they have made, and they have to be really particular about these mistakes, because maybe there could be some errors which can affect their overall performance.
Okay, someone is asking here to ask questions about your own journey in details, for example, the way you became an instructor, the way you decided, I'm going to work with this to help people. So, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, actually, when I was a child, I always wanted to be a teacher, and like whenever I used to see my teacher in school, I had the thought that I would become a teacher one day. After I was doing my college, I there was an opportunity to teach the students voluntarily, so I just opted for that option. And when I used to go to a language center where I started teaching people. And when I was teaching them, I observed that this field is really good, and it really motivated me. Then I thought, okay, teaching them is not enough. I have to be a good teacher. I have to be more than a teacher. I really wanted myself to, like, I wanted to improve a lot, whatever, like, if I as I opted to teach English language. So I thought I have to improve myself. Therefore, I started attending different teachers training programs. And there are many, like I told you, there are now many websites which offer free online courses about English language. I did those courses there. Then there were scholarships which I often used to apply. Many times I did not get a chance to study on a scholarship, but luckily in 2019 I was selected for this program, transitioning to teaching languages online, from University of Minnesota, where I learned about how can I teach English language with the use of technology in a meaningful way. Then apart from that, I kept on checking that what are my shortcomings, what is the area where I lack being a teacher. So I started working on that as well. And then I'm still attending many teachers training program, because as I told you that the teaching methodologies are changing time to time. So in order to keep myself updated, I have to stay in touch with the latest pedagogies of teaching. Therefore, I have to study what are the changes that are going on in English language teaching.
Wow, such an incredible journey. I mean, I would say that half is gifted because from the very beginning you really wanted to do it, and the other half I would say is hardworking. And
Yeah.
that's such an important topic when we're talking about teacher training, because some people believe, for example, that being a teacher is a gift. It's not. It can be a gift, but you have to work hard in
It's
order to make your students interested.
of course, everyone has some abilities. I agree
Yes.
with that, but we are not perfect. We
Mm-hmm.
have to be. I want to be perfect more and more. So I keep on trying for that. I keep on studying for that. Recently, I have done my, like I told you, I had already attended IELTS teachers training program back in 2020, but I thought, okay, it's been 2 years now. I need to upgrade my techniques. Then I again
Yes.
joined the Global Language Center in the UK, where I did my IELTS training. I passed the exam with 98%, and it was a, so when I was completing my IELTS training in the UK from Global Language Center, I found there were many strategies which I did not know. There were some
Mhm.
points. Being an IELTS instructor, according to me, I thought I'm doing my best. But when I did my that teachers training course, I felt there were some lackings which I have learned now, and I'm again working on things in order to be a better instructor.
Excellent, very good. So thank you very much for your presentation. At the end, if we still have the time, I'm going to ask you another question. But now I have to call
Yeah.
Professor Camila to come in the room again, and she's going to deliver her presentation, okay? Camila is a beloved friend of mine, a BFF, I would say, and she's a former, she was my professor in my undergraduate program. So I've known her for such a long time. So, Camila, the stage is yours. I'm going to be here, okay? I'm going to turn off my camera and my mic, but I'm here, okay?
Okay, thank you, Tati, Patricia. I'm going to share my screen, and if you have any problems, just tell me, okay? Because once I share it, I'm not going to see you anymore. Okay. No? Interromper. No.
Vamos aguardar um pouquinho, ver se.
Ok. Deixa eu compartilhar. I'm going to share it again.
Ok.
Share screen. Okay. Now I think it's going to work.
Yes. Não está em tela cheia.
Não?
Não, só está em miniaturazinha e a tela azul.
I have already. What about now?
Yes, it's okay now.
Yes. Sorry, technology.
Technology.
Yeah. Okay. So, good morning, everybody. I'm really glad to be here, and I want to begin just saying that I was happy for the invitation to talk in this Teacher Education Summit. And when Professor Raimundo and Professor Patricia invited me, I was thinking about what to really talk to you here about this development of the 4Cs of the 21st century skills. So I came up with the idea of talking about teaching English as a foreign language into the 21st century, and to talk about the teachers' and students' competences and abilities as we are talking about skills. Yeah. So the 4Cs of the 21st century skills that are the main topic of this event. You know already the critical thinking, the creative thinking, communicating and collaborating. Of course, they are essential inside the 21st century classroom if we think about the school context. But of course, it could be the 4Cs for any century classroom because they are skills that are timeless and highly valued in our society. And not only inside the classroom, but in all the professions if we think about it. But let's talk about the school context. That's why we are here. And I will just bring some information, just share some information about the 21st century that we are living in. We have this we are living in a kind of a technology obsession. And inside the school context, of course, we have to learn about a lot of tools, technological tools for teaching and learning. And then at the 2020, we had the COVID pandemic event that, of course, changed our lives forever. And in the school context, we were forced into the online teaching and what we call now the new normal. Yeah. And so all those technological tools are here to stay forever, and we have to live with them as teachers and as students. And of course, if we think about this piece of time we are living in a multilingual and intercultural context. Yeah, we don't have just one language inside the classroom or just the foreign language. We have our mother language, the foreign language, and all the, for example, the inheritance languages of the students. It's an intercultural and multilingual context. Yes, and it's what we called, when we think about English, it's not just English as a foreign language anymore, but all the aspects of English as a lingua franca. And then, of course, we have this pressure of having new abilities and competences just as teachers and students inside the classroom. So how to really embrace this 21st century learning skills? How to adapt the teacher's work within the 4 Cs? Those critical thinking, creative thinking, communicating, and collaborating. Oh, we know already that those skills would help students to learn and teachers to teach. But how to do it? I was thinking about when preparing this presentation for you. But before talking about this how, let's just think about our school context and the school labels that are just given in our reality, and we have to fight against them all the time. If we think about those labels, we have, for example, we can think about 2 main groups inside the school. The students who had the learning skills, so they could be labeled as nerds or geeks. And this is not positive. Okay, labels are always not that positive. We have to fight against them all the time. And then we have what some research called the disabilities inside the classroom, inside the schools, like the freaks, the unadjusted, the slow learners. So it means that sometimes if we really don't fight those labels, we could have those 2 main groups, like the students who learn and the students who don't learn. So if you're not intelligent, you're stupid. If you're not smart, you're dumb. If you're not fast, you're slow. So how to fight all of those labels, and really as the question, how to embrace all those skills to fight against this reality. So what are the teachers' responsibilities, for example? We have this remote teaching that we were inside during all the time of the pandemic since 2020. It's a new reality to teachers and to students as well. So we need a lot of content adaptation. We had to think about different methodologies to teach, different approaches, different kinds of activities that we were used to do in on-site teaching were not just available anymore at that time. So there was an increase of responsibilities and challenges as well, and an increase of opportunities to enhance the competences and abilities that we already have. And then when we go to investigate in all the research and all the studies that were in the past or during the pandemic, we see a vast literature in applied linguistics and teacher education talking about those teachers' competencies, teachers' abilities, teacher attitudes, knowledge, teachers' beliefs, not just in on-site contexts, but distance learning and blended learning as well. Or a lot of studies talking about norms of good practices for teachers. But my intention with this presentation is to relate these 21st century skills to this knowledge of abilities and competencies. And now it's what I thought about talking to you. In Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, this theory would give a better understanding of this school context. I don't know if you know about this theory, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And of course, in the references, I have a lot of work and texts that I could share with you just to learn more about this theory of multiple intelligences and how they are related to those 21st century skills. So Howard Gardner was the researcher, and he is a professor at Harvard in the United States. And in 1983, he started studying with a lot of other researchers and his research group, actually, the human intelligence. And they came up with the definition that the human intelligence is the ability of solving problems and creating products in natural contexts. If we think about this definition, we see that, for example, we are in our routine, daily life, we are always solving problems and creating products. Since the beginning, since the moment we just wake up to the moment we go to sleep. Yeah. And of course, the research just questioned the validity of the IQ tests. The IQ tests were tests that had isolated tasks that measured just logical thinking, just the linguistic abilities and the math skills of the ones who take these tests. And so the group said that the intelligence is not just one specific ability, but it's a set of skills and abilities that enable a person to solve genuine problems encountered in life. And they came up with 8 different intelligences. So the intelligence concept is that each individual has their own abilities and competencies depending on the influence of culture and environment they are in. So they have different kinds of intelligences. And what makes life interesting is that we don't have the same strength in each intelligence area. We are different people having different abilities and competencies because the things that we have lived since we were born. So in all the 8 intelligences, we have different kinds of abilities and competences. And if we think about the context, the school context, we have the teacher as an individual with different abilities and competences, and all the students in the classes with different abilities and competences as well. So I'm just talking about, I just brought just some abilities inside each intelligence for you to think about. While I'm reading the abilities, just think about yourself as I'm sure that in all 8 intelligences, and I'm going to begin with the logical mathematical, you will find some abilities that are not that enhanced, yeah, but you had for sure. So in the logical mathematical intelligence, there are abilities like calculating, quantifying, making propositions, to have the logical reasoning for everything, recognizing non-verbal patterns, to be good at mazes, doing mazes or enigmas. The linguistic intelligence, the abilities could be related to working with a lot of vocabulary, oral and written expressions, to have the understanding of meanings and definitions, to be to do instructions, or to listen to or to make instructions easily, to do crosswords, debates, and compositions. In the bodily kinesthetic intelligence, we can see abilities related to movement, of course, to body control, motor coordination, dance, arts. It's all the relation you have and the abilities you have according to your body, and all the things that are just near you, actually, in the environment. The spatial ability, the spatial intelligence, there are a lot of abilities related to organization, visual information, visual arts, memory, to work with tables and graphs, for example, to read, to know how to read maps, or to do puzzles. The musical intelligence, abilities related to the musical patterns, to rhythm, to be good at jingles or recitals, or to understand the sound effects. Of course, to know how to play musical instruments is a kind of ability in this intelligence. And, for example, to work with language accents or to recognize those accents is an ability related to the musical intelligence. The interpersonal intelligence, there are some abilities related to the others' feelings, humor, and beliefs. It's when you understand the other person better than you understand yourself sometimes. It's the understanding, recognizing social roles, and to be able to solve conflicts, for example, between people. And the intrapersonal intelligence, that are abilities related to to make personal projects, to reflect, to know yourself, to set the self-knowledge, to have clear personal objectives, to make portfolios or diaries, biography, and to have a personal planning and organization, for example. It's about yourself, this kind of intelligence. And the naturalist, there are abilities related to observation, pattern recognition, collection, the study of animals and plants, all the natural world here. It's the symbiosis with the natural world, and how to classify and organize things are just abilities related to this intelligence. So we talked about these 8 intelligences, but how the multiple intelligence theory could work inside the school, inside the classroom. Yeah, how to use the multiple intelligence theory for the educational context in the teaching and learning foreign languages. So the research group, Gardner's research group, just came up with the entry points approach. I'm going to talk about this EP approach as the way they could relate the theory that was just to identify abilities and competencies in individuals, and how to put the theory to work for teachers and students in the classroom. So the multiple intelligence theory, we know that it describes different aspects of those who learn. So it's the description of different people. So different people have different abilities and competencies. The theory is more useful when considering understanding students' profile, real people. So when we know this, when the teacher knows this theory, it's interesting because the teacher is going to identify in all their students, different people with different abilities and different competencies in all the 8 intelligences. The entry point approach inside the theory describes different aspects of what is being learned. So it's more useful when considering texts, materials, activities, and the classroom environment. What is the relation between multiple intelligences and English as a language teacher? When planning an activity to teach a classroom, probably the student will perform this activity using some of their abilities related to one or more intelligences. Of course, it's an individual with their own abilities and competences. So what is the teacher's work? Maybe when thinking about this theory is to think and organize different ways of looking, studying, and learning different contents. One of these ways is using the entry points approach. So what are those entry points? So the Gardner came up with the entry points in 1999, and it's a pedagogical structure, an instrument that helps teachers to view the differences in their students, giving students different ways of learning the same subject, the same content. So the MI theory support to understand, it's a support to understand who and to whom we teach. And the EP structure, it's a support to choose what and how to teach. It's a matter of inclusion. So using the EP structure, everybody learns in a way or another way. So I'm going just to pass the 5 EPs for you to realize. So there are 8 intelligences, but just 5 entry points. And when Gardner just came up with this approach, it's interesting because he talked about it's easy to see the entry points using the metaphor of a window. So imagine the center of the house is the content, the theme we work in the classroom, any topic. And through each window, we could see the center from a different view. So you have to imagine your students with their own abilities and competences just placed in one or another window. So what are those windows? The theory talks about the aesthetical window. It's this entry point, it's the entry point through which learners respond to formal and sensory qualities of a subject. So they realize the shapes of an object. They work better using color, lines, paintings, photos. You see, when we talked about the EPs and we understand the entry point, we automatically think about those students who would really enjoy doing any activity, but with the activity related to this kind of things like working with shapes, colors, line, photos. The second EP is the narrative entry point. It's the EP through which learners respond to the narrational elements of a subject. For example, the sequence of events in a period of history, or working with stories, fables, fairy tales, using imagination. See, so when you think about this narrative entry point, and when we are just developing materials or activities, of course, we're thinking about some specific students that would love to do activities related to those kind of abilities. The logical mathematical window entry point, it's the same name as the intelligence. It's the EP through which learners respond to aspects of a subject that invite deductive reasoning or numerical consideration. So working with cause and consequence, logical thinking, calculating. The foundational or philosophical window, it's the entry point through which learners respond to the broader concepts of or philosophical issues raised by a subject, like giving opinions, analyzing situations, working with metaphors. And those are just 3 examples, but A lot of things could be done in a topic working through this entry point. And the last one, the experiential window. It's the entry point through which learners respond to a subject by actually doing something with their hands or bodies. So it's the experience using their bodies, their senses, manipulating things. When we think about a topic and we are preparing the activity using this experiential window, for sure, the students they like to run in the classroom or to actually talk or do something related to their hands, their bodies. They have different abilities and competence. For sure, they are going to like to do this. So, what are the effects on learning when we use the entry points? There is an increased awareness about the learning processes. Students explore and understand their own learning process. An increased emphasis on individual learning processes, emphasis on differences between individuals, and it stimulated the active learning process. Students recognize that activities that don't have an end on themselves. So different people learn in different ways. Just to finish my presentation, I talked about the theory and the multiple intelligences and the entry points. And I just started with the questions, and I'm going to finish with the questions. How to embrace the 21st century learning skills and how to adapt the teacher's work within the 4Cs. Those are questions that the teacher has to answer. So if we think about the teacher, it's a matter of thinking, how could the content be taught considering my students disposed in these 5 different windows? So when I'm developing materials, lesson plans, and activities. The question is, how does this content, sometimes which is already organized in the class materials, present itself to the students disposed in these 5 different windows? Which windows are missing in my activities? Will I have time to develop another activity related to the same content? Because sometimes we don't have time to develop 5 different activities. So could we join some EPs in one activity? And what about the issues related to the learners in those skills? So the learner must or could observe their abilities and competencies in the 8 intelligence through their lives, and actively control their learning processes because they know their own abilities and competencies. So it's a matter of a collaborative and joint effort at the teachers' and students' competencies and abilities. We have the content, and then we have all the things organized through the content, the topics, the themes worked, and the subjects worked in the classroom. We have the learners, the school, and the teachers. So I think it's just what I wanted to talk to you today about those skills, 21st century skills. And I just organized some references to related to the multiple intelligence theory, the the entry points approach, and all the other things related to applied linguistics that I'm really glad to share with you if you want. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Camila, for the presentation. It's always a pleasure to listen to you and the things you brought to us. Something that is not new, I mean, like in terms of multiple intelligences, but as some scholars they have talked about recently, they are reconsidering some of the concepts, and the pandemic showed us how we can deal with this idea in order to bring the senses of the intelligences in the classroom. So I guess that's the point what you tried to show. It's not merely knowing and describing, this is this kind of intelligences and this is the other one, but it's like how can we notice this in order to work with the students in the classroom. And during your presentation, some topics they came. I'm sorry because I'll probably will pronounce your name in a wrong way. Awatef. And I'm not going to pronounce the second name because it's going to be even worse. And I do apologize. But we were discussing about that there isn't a best method to teach our students. And this was said by Prabhu in 1990 when he brought the text, there is no best method. So a question that we were discussing and I want you to talk about is how can we deal with different methods in the classroom in order to try to make students to take the best advantage of what we are trying to show them. So if you could talk a little bit about it.
Sure, sure. It's all it's what I said always say to my students, because when I teach this subject at the teachers educator course, I always say that sometimes for sure I'm going to have students that are pre-service teachers that they are not accommodated in the theory, or and it's okay. To understand the theory is one thing, and of course there are a lot of other aspects related to the theory that Gardner is actually is studying right now, and there are a lot of researchers. But the thing is, the theories, the methodologies, the approaches are there. We, as pre-service teachers, they really need to know, and we have as professors to teach. We have to teach them all the approaches and methodologies. And of course, it's a matter. I really like this word, accommodation, because you are going to be you're going to feel that this method and this approach works for you as a teacher. And when you prepare materials, you develop materials, or we think about a specific classroom with different students, specific students, we're going to see that sometimes this method or approach that we are using, it's not going to be useful or really works with that classroom. And then that's the idea of changing methodologies and approaches to reach all the students in different contexts. We did a lot of this in the pandemic. A lot of teachers just changed their way, their views of methods and approaches. We had to do it. So there is no right answer for related to methods and approaches. Yeah, that's your question. We have to try to understand our context, and with a lot of pressure, this pressure that we are just put in this moment, and adapt or accommodate our methods and approaches to embrace the students. Yeah, so for them to really understand that topic you were working with. I don't know if I answered, but this is something that I always say to my students. There is no right answer. There's no perfect approach or perfect theory. The theories are there, changing a lot all the time. We are researching a lot of things. Yeah, the society is changing, so no right answer.
And I have just one more question, Camila. Some of them, they are asking to access the material, so you can talk to Raimundo later. And some of them are asking for your email. And there is one question here, a very interesting one. I think DEPs would be effective in case the teachers know their students' abilities and multiple intelligence. Do you agree?
I agree. I really enjoy this theory. And of course, there are a lot of other approaches to use, but um, those butterflies in the stomach that we teachers have when they go to teach a classroom or a group of students for the first time? Oh, so we all do this, yeah, when we are teaching our students for our first time. So I really enjoy doing some inventories. Inventories are just questionnaires that would ask questions about the students' abilities and competences. It's a kind of needs analysis, but it's interesting to know the abilities for real individuals that are our students. So I really like to do this because this is part of the multiple intelligence theory. And I'm just tell you that when I do this and I get to know better my students through their abilities and competencies, and I let them know what abilities and competencies I have, it's going to be fluid. The all the things that I do in the classroom, methods I would use or other approaches would work better if we use the theory. So I think this question, this could answer this question.
Yes.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I really
I
enjoy
agree.
doing this.
Thank you very much, Camila, for your presentation. Raimundo, thank you very much again for
You so
trusting
much.
me for the opportunity. It was very nice to be here with you in this morning. Lots of thoughts for us and things to consider, to reflect. And I wish to see you soon again. Thanks,
Patricia,
Camila.
Thank
thanks,
you.
thanks Camila for your participation. Thank you, Patricia, for being with us again since the first edition. She's been
Yeah.
a help and being with us, contributing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Zarish, for your participation as well. Beautiful panel. Thank you very much. Well, folks, time is, time flies, right? It is. We have a lot of to do, but well, we have this tribute to pay to João Batista, friend of ours that passed away. And I would like to invite Professor Alex to come here and to 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 make this tribute to João Batista, and we have this short video to present, and I'd like to have your attention for a few minutes more, right? And we finish the program for the morning, and in the afternoon we have the a second panel, and it will be 2 p.m. Brazilian time. So I hope to have all of you with us in the second panel. Okay, um, Professor Alex. Yes, over to you.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. Like Raimundo said, a friend of ours has just passed away about a month ago. So uh, I'm going to say some words, and then later we have a short video clip about this beloved friend. So here's a tribute to a man who lived his life joyfully and playfully. João Batista de Oliveira Silva Jr., a friendly son, a loving husband and father, and a beloved friend. He has always thoughtful with everyone around him. He was glad to share his passions like music, literature, foreign languages, beer, or wine with those who were strongly or slightly interested in learning and sharing. João was knowledgeable about a wide range of subjects. He was a committed teacher, a skillful translator and interpreter. He was always aware of the idiosyncrasies of each language. He had a deep knowledge of English and Portuguese. He also studied and took part in congresses of Esperanto. He was savvy and yet humble. an intellectual without arrogance. So today we salute thy name, dear young man. Let's sing the Bard song. It will remain forever in our memories and our hearts. So now we have a video clip about João.
Now you all know the bards and their songs. When hours have gone by, I close my eyes in a world far away. We may meet again, but now hear my song about the dawn of the night. Let's sing the bard song. Tomorrow will take us away, far from home. No one will ever know what is, but the bard songs will remind. Tomorrow will take it away, the fear of today. It will be gone due to our magic songs.
So thank you everybody for being here in this morning. I think Raimundo has a word for you to continue in the afternoon.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, folks, thank you for your attention and thank you for being with us the whole morning. I know you learned a lot from this experienced teacher that came to contribute to the Teacher Education Summit. In the afternoon, we start at 2 p.m. Brazilian time, and we have the second panel that the chair will be Professor Alexandre will be the host and the chair with Diane and Faisal will be with us. So I hope to see each and every one of you there. We'll be at Zoom. Okay, Zoom. We have to follow the link. I put the link in the group we are, right? So please join us 2 p.m. And after we have the workshops. You have to choose two to participate this afternoon. The others you are going to receive a link later to watch. Okay. Thank you so much, folks. It was a pleasure to be with you all this morning.